Alrighty guys, this is a project that I've been a fan of probably just about as long as I've been into Lycia. This is another band that falls into the not really clearly defined Darkwave genre. The band in question is Dargaard. And this is a project where I could literally grab any of their four albums and talk about it, but I'm just going to focus on their first album, which is called Eternity Rites. Dargaard is named after a book series called Dragonlance, and so the music's kind of got this, I guess, kind of neoclassical, neo-medieval kind of vibe to it, but the vast majority of the songs are heavily keyboard-driven and very melodic in character, with some occasional drums and sort of raspy male vocals and real heavenly female vocals, so it kind of falls into the whole ethereal, heavenly voices genre, and like I said, neoclassical, neo-medieval subgenres. But when I discovered this was like one of the bands I discovered kind of right after I got into Mortis, and to me this felt like what Mortis could have been if he hadn't made the completely shit album, The Smell of the Rain, whatever other fucking crappy albums he's made since then too. This is what I think Mortis could have progressed on to instead of just well, I don't want to talk about those other Mortis albums because they're really bad. But this is what, really to me, like, I think what kind of is more what defines Darkwave, real heavily keyboard-driven stuff, and with male and female vocals, and with, in this particular case, neoclassical and neo-medieval in style. So, the band was formed way back in 1997 by Alexander Theron Opitz and the female vocalist Elizabeth Torreser. Theron is, you may know or recognize from various black metal bands. He's played in Amestigon, Gromod, I think, is a neo-folk band, and he was also one of the original members of Abigor. He was a vocalist on their first three demos before Selenius stepped in and took his place, and all of his black metal bands are fantastic, if you ever got a chance to hear them. Well, actually he's only got one black metal band, I think, now that he's doing nowadays, and that's Amestigion. That's really good. Even the old stuff is really fantastic, but I think he was kind of the mastermind behind that band. But anyway, I'm diverging here completely. So, and Elizabeth, I don't think she has any other bands other than Dominion 3, which is more of like a industrial, darkwave, electronic kind of project. That as well involved Theron. So I don't really know what the connection between Theron and Elizabeth. I'm not sure if they were a couple at some point in time or what, but they worked together a lot during the late 90s, early 2000s, and they seem to have parted ways since then. And I don't think Elizabeth has done anything musically, and Theron has just continued on doing sporadically some neo-folk and black metal music in the past, like 10, 15 years. So anyway, now that you know kind of the backstory of the band, Eternity Rites was released in, 1998 on Napalm Records, and as some of you may know, Napalm Records is a label that specializes in like black metal and weird folk stuff and like, darkwave and neoclassical kind of stuff. By the time the 2000s kind of arrived, they went for more of a mainstream sound, really specializing in gothic metal and stuff like that, and that was pretty much when I think the label really started to go just kind of, whack quality and stuff like that. But throughout most of the 90s and early 2000s, they had some pretty quality shit going on, and this is one of many great albums that they released. Maybe the best way to describe this record is kind of think about a darker version of Dead Can Dance mixed with more keyboards and just a darker, more malevolent atmosphere. I think it's almost like if Dead Can Dance was put through a black metal filter with some neo-medieval and neo-classical touches. It's really, it's probably not as elaborate, nor are the vocals as good as something, from the Dead Can Dance project, but that's really the way I've always kind of viewed this band. I'm pretty sure that's a huge influence on, that was a huge influence with Theron when he created this music, and I've always loved these albums. I don't know what to say. Some of this stuff sounds somewhat dated by my ear nowadays, but not too much. Like, sometimes when you go back to albums you bought, 15, 20 years ago, you kind of think, like, alright, it's not as good as I thought. But I go back to these albums still, and the keyboards and the neoclassical sounds still sound pretty authentic all these years later. It doesn't sound hokey or you know what I mean, kind of artificial, like a lot of synthetic music and sound. It sounds very professional, very real, still to this day, which is great. And one of the many reasons why I love these albums still. And unfortunately, the project it went from 1997 to 2004, and then as I said earlier, the project's apparently had status unknown since then. But like I said, it's probably pretty safe to say that if you haven't made an album in almost in 15 years, you're probably not going to make any more albums. But this is really great stuff. I mean, I love so many songs on this. It's just, it has this just vibe to it that's just really calming and really dark, and it just really resonates with me. And throw in those medieval touches, which back in those days was something I was really, really, really into. Like, I was reading like nothing but fantasy novels throughout like my high school years and early years of the 2000s. Well, I guess I haven't really changed that much. I still mostly read like fantasy novels and play kind of medieval setting video games like Witcher 3 and stuff like that, which all kind of has that sort of neo-medieval vibe to it. So maybe I haven't changed that much, but that's what I've always been into, I guess. I just always loved that time period. I think it's over-glamorized in Hollywood and video games and stories, but and music, of course, but I love it. It's always something that's fascinated me. I'm sure life back then was actually a fucking living hell, and there was nothing good about it at all, but it's fun the way we've over-dramatized it and made it into this really special period in human history, and it's great when bands like Dargaard and many other bands have been able to recreate a special atmosphere involving that era and that time period in human life, and really create special, beautiful, dark music with it. And this is one of my favorite albums. I mean, like I said, all the Dargaard albums are fantastic, but this album, first one, was the first one I heard, and it's always stuck with me as being, a masterpiece. And you could buy any of the 4 Dargaard albums. I think they're all probably pretty readily available soon, I guess. I didn't bother to look them up on Discogs or eBay to see what they're going for, but I'd imagine you'd be able to, secure these albums pretty easily if you want to get physical copies. If not, I'm sure they're all on Spotify and maybe even on Bandcamp and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. That's Dargaard's Eternity Rites. Well then, a look at the booklet, shall we? So here's the front cover, and it's pretty simple, I guess. Nothing overly special, I guess. Their album artwork actually got better after this one, but, whatever. And there's the back cover with all the songs. There's 11 songs in this one. So there's another look at it. There's the front of the booklet and the back. Give you a little idea. And I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if that artwork is taken from the Dragonlance novels, which is what initially influenced this project too. So, yeah. And that's the lyrics. There's a picture of Theron and Elizabeth. As kind of a funny side note, I was absolutely in love with Elizabeth back in the day. This was back in the days when I was obsessing over like gothic women, and yeah, I had a crush on her back in those days, man. She's a pretty beautiful woman. That's all I can say. Yeah, yeah. This is awkward. Okay, there's the last page. And, yeah, and then the CD itself, of course, which, nothing too exciting, yeah, no logo or anything stamped on there, just, and, tray card, very comparable. Alright, so, yeah, that's, Dargaard's Eternity Rites. Great album, great project in general. As I said, any of their albums, you can buy them to be satisfied. It's, in my opinion, Darkwave music perfected, and what I really kind of viewed, Darkwave music being. Even a lot of different bands can categorize as Darkwave. This is really what I feel like Darkwave music is in its true core form. So definitely check it out.